Welcome to Power Down. This is the after show to Power Up, where we like to get a little bit more real with you guys. We like to just show you the real sort of us. I mean, I brought a friend.
Oh my God. If I didn't have to have dinner first, I would be doing that so hard.
And I pre-put the sprinkles in the tub.
Nice.
It's so good.
Nice. Oh, my drumstick story that I was going to tell on the show and then I held for the after show. So I'm talking like the Nestle drumsticks, like the prepackaged cone, hard shell, peanuts over the ice cream. You know it. We know them. We love them. Drumstick. When Nate and I bought our house, there was already a fridge in the freezer that the previous owners left here for us so we could have a freezer fridge, which, by the way, you haven't lived until you have a freezer fridge. It's like one of the best parts of owning a house for me. I haven't had my own laundry machines.
What's that?
And my own freezer fridge. Oh, sorry. I should be saying garage freezer fridge. So it's like a regular fridge, but just an extra one that's in your garage. So, like, if you want to buy too much stuff at Costco and it can't all fit in your freezer, just put it in the freezer in the garage. Because you have an extra one. Or, like... Oh, I can't hear you, Maude.
That's a mini fridge.
Yay! So you have an extra fridge.
I got an office extra fridge, but that's where I keep all of Zelda's dog food.
That's awesome. But yeah, just having an extra freezer and fridge in your garage enables you to buy in bulk and like not worry about stuff because you have the room, which is great. Living in apartments in LA, I never had that, nor did I ever have laundry. So house living, those were my two big upgrades, are my own laundry machines and an extra fridge in the garage. Did you just drop ice cream on yourself and in your hair? Oh yeah. Living your best life, Maude.
Saving that for later.
So good. But anyway, so we bought this house. There's a fridge/freezer in the garage, right? And we come to realize they did not fully empty out the fridge and freezer in the garage. You know what's still hanging in there? One lonely, individually wrapped drumstick. Now, it is freezer burnt to high heaven inside the package already. It's got icicles all over it. But neither Nate nor I threw it out. And about 6 to 8 months later, we were probably very drunk, laughing about something, and one of us brought up the drumstick in the freezer. We was like, "Oh, I thought you had never seen it. Oh, I thought you had never seen it." And we're like, "Well, I'm not going to throw it out. Well, I'm not going to throw it out," because we realized we both individually thought, someday I'm going to eat that. It's freezer burned to high heavens, probably 20 years old. It was somebody else's. But someday I might eat that. And so I'm not going to throw it out. Which is a ridiculous thing to think about a drumstick that Lord only knows where it came from. But that's how good drumsticks are.
Is it still there?
No, we did. We did eventually throw it out. And it was like a thing that we kind of cried about when we did it. Because really, for safety reasons, no one should have eaten that drumstick. And Nate was like, we can just buy new drumsticks. We could just buy, and then we'd have like 5 of them in our freezer, but that are safe to eat. I was like, that is a solid point, my friend.
I have risked it a few times with frozen items and being like, surely it's still okay.
Yeah. Well, it just
halfway through the meal and gone, this was a bad decision and I need to stop eating it so I can throw it out.
It just like tastes bad after a while. Because it tastes freezer burnt, but I don't think it'll make you sick. I mean, maybe if it's meat, I don't know.
Well, I mean, you haven't lived if you haven't shot yourself, you know?
I mean,
that's what I always say.
Always. He always says it.
Always.
Hilarious.
I'm glad that we talked about ice cream. It's great. I guess it's been maybe a month and a half now. Because there was a time during quarantine where I'm not a big sugary person. I don't really care for sweets, but I went through a phase and I was like, this makes me feel happy right now. And I like it, but I get sweeted out really quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, ugh. So I stopped having cookies and I stopped having ice cream and gelato and everything. And I've been feeling better, but I'm like, crap, ice cream's so good. So right now I'm just trying to I don't know, I think I've turned over to interior decorating then. Because I've just placed it where I'm like, okay, don't have ice cream. But let me go on Amazon and peruse around. The next thing I know, I've gotten something else. But yeah.
I was gonna say, if you're legit interior decorating, I will send you to my house and you can tell me what to do with my house. Or as opposed to just perusing Amazon. So are you actually getting into interior decorating, or are you just perusing Amazon for stuff you want in your house?
Tell us what you've done.
Well, okay, so we live in it's a tiny studio apartment, and for the longest time we just had a bed, just a bed, nothing else.
How's lockdown been for you?
It's good. I mean, besides just the usual that I think everyone's feeling, but like I said, I've just turned everything to that. So we got a couch for the first time.
Ooh.
We got married, yeah. So I'm so fancy right now. And then we have an actual bed frame that is not broken. We had one, then it broke. We're like, well, screw it.
Wonder how that happened. Kidding, I'm joking.
Whoa. We have this ottoman from Amazon, $30-something. It has storage in it, and you can put a divider. It's black. It's a little leathery looking. And I'm trying to figure out what our style is. Is it industrial? Definitely. Is it boho? Yes, for the balcony. Trying to figure out shelves. I spray painted something yesterday for the first time ever. It was great. Yeah, and there's this wall, this little tiny wall that we want to, not to get sad, but both of our moms have passed away. So we want that whole wall to be our culture, our people.
Trisha, your screens, Trish?
Just went crazy, right?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep, got you back.
Yeah, just a lot of decorating. And then we both love movies, so we have 3 movie posters and we want to put one up. And then this space for me is going to be very much filming everything and anything. And if it needs to be a little bit more not simpler, but just generic, then I'm going to turn this around with the couch and all that. So I would say it's pretty big. It's not just perusing, so much so that I'm okay, if I get paid here, then I can use that money for this. Okay, so I need to work a little bit more, maybe ask for more voiceovers for this thing. And I don't know, it's great, but it's also dangerous. And I think right now I'm not alone in that we all want to latch onto something during quarantine where it's this makes me feel happy. And then it was gaming, it was everything. And now I've moved on to interior decorating and Pinterest, a lot of Pinterest.
So I'm moving house in 2 weeks. Real talk.
Are you using movers?
What?
Are you using movers, Maude?
I am, yeah. I'm not moving very too far, but yeah, my roommate went back to New Zealand to ride out COVID and is not really coming back. So I'm in the process of selling a bunch of furniture, of figuring out, sort of the moving side of things. I don't mind moving. I've realized I've sort of on average done it every year and a half since I was 18. So yeah, I'm pretty good at it at this stage, and I love the blank canvas and starting again and getting a new space to set up, and it kind of feels like a refresher for me because I can't stand getting too comfortable like this one. You just burped in my face, my love. Lucky I love you. Oh, that's real gross. But it means that I'm going to have to downsize a little bit, and I want it to be quite clean. But this background's going. I don't know what I'm going to do with. Might get an actual real bookcase happening, but the only place that I can put my desk, it's not going to be back against a wall. It's going to be quite open, and it's kind of going to see my kitchen. Oh, did you get it, baby?
Getting a bug? Oh yeah.
I've trained her to try to attack all the flies, and it's the newest version of Zelda that I've met, and it's my favorite one. She's not close. She hasn't been close yet, but she's getting more and more determined, and the noises she'll make, I'll be playing video games, and she'll just go, I just see this. Baby, the fly's over there. It's so good. Oh dear, you've been home alone with a dog for far too long when you're seeing new versions of their personality. Oh dear.
That's fun.
I almost kind of wanted to touch on a couple of things that maybe we talked about in the last episode since we lost it. I like just a rehash on it. And one of the things that we spoke about were sort of like our earliest childhood memories. And that was because, Trish, both you and Troy have children around 2, and talking about parenting and sort of like the woes that you had leading into it and kind of the mindset that you now have. And one of the things that I kind of asked was, do you ever get worried about what particular moments your children will retain forever? Because I remember being 9 years old and I really wanted Mum's attention and she was trying to read and I'm like, Mom, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And she just goes, piss off, Maude. And I went to my room and I cried so hard. I could not believe my mum had said that to me. She profusely apologized. She's like, I'm so sorry. I was just so bothered.
Oh, you were such a sweet child.
I wept.
If my mom told me to piss off, I would have been like, you said piss.
I couldn't believe she told me to piss off. Oh my God, my mom. Now she says fuck off to me all the time. But it's like, yeah, that's fair.
That's
so I kind of wanted to talk about the memories that you have retained in your childhood that had like the biggest impact or a profound thing.
Yeah, and I don't really remember what I said. I think I said as far as parenting goes, that as a parent, you can't really worry about it. Because you never know what moments they're going to remember, and you just do your best at every given time. And sometimes your best is awesome, and sometimes your best is less than awesome. And it's honestly what you can do. I think every parent gets that small baby in their hand in the hospital, and it's like, you're gonna let me leave with it? Like, but I don't know what I'm doing. But nobody does, and you have this like moment where you're like, none of us know what we're doing. And okay. I guess I don't know what I'm doing maybe slightly better than that person doesn't know what they're doing, so here goes nothing. Right. And you buckle into the roller coaster and you ride it the best you can. And that's the best analogy I can give for parenting. So don't worry about the moments, but I'm trying to think as far as moments I remember.
Yeah.
From when I was little, I remember because I was tiny, no big surprise there. I was tiny for a long time. And so I remember being in, like, my dad had, like, a hiking backpack that I could sit in. And I remember going on hikes with my dad in the backpack.
Whoa.
Yeah, I remember... Yeah, I remember my parents being funny. I fought with my mom so much. God bless my poor mom's heart. I actually fought with both my parents a lot. I was a holy terror of a kid. Now they say... independent, you're a very willful or very independent child. But I mean, my parents, when I was really little, were like, who do you think you are? And I looked right at them and said, God, and slammed the door.
Wow.
Again, very willful, independent child. That's what I'm like, oh man, if my mom had said piss off to me, I probably would have thought that was like the funniest thing in the world. And then probably for the next week would have said piss off to everybody and been like, well, you said it. Like, I was that kid. So now whenever Logan's having, like, a really willful day, my mom's like, I told you, you're going to get one. I wished one of you on you, and it happened. But I don't know. Did you do it again?
Get it, Bubba.
You know what?
Good.
You should sign that dog up for acting classes. Going on cue.
Where is it, Bubba? Get it. It's here. It's up here. Yeah. Get it. No. Oh, fuck. That was funny.
Man.
So she gets like so like.
That was great.
Amy, do you have an early memory?
Yeah, I think the earliest memory I have, which I remember when my mom was alive, I would tell her, she'd always be like, that's so freaking random. So I think I was about 4 or 5, and we were living in Mexico, and it's like part of our culture to do, I don't even know what the heck the dance is called, but it's to have these massive skirts where like you extend them out and they have detailing at the bottom, and it's just like this. And she had actually made mine. Like, she made it, and it was like the coolest thing ever. And I guess it's a 2-parter. I remember like walking around school Oh, it was kindergarten. It was kindergarten, actually. And we had to rehearse the dance. There was a lot of dances where like you performed in front of everyone. And it was like a whole grade thing. And you had to have the white skirt underneath and then the other skirt that was like the main showy one. And I walk around with the white one and be like, I'm so cool. I love skirts. I'm going to own this. And so like one of the bigger memories that I remember was sitting on top of a car, like the hood of a car, and bringing my skirt out so you could show like the detailing, everything, you could see that, and then just sitting there and like smiling for a photo, and then like having my mom and like some other family members be like, yay, okay, smile. And then I was just like, I'm on top of a car holding this. And yeah, like it was, I mean, that kind of just shows, I don't know, like my mom was always very giving, and if she could make something, she would for me. Very much, she was always recording everything that I did, and I was always performing for her. So I mean, like no surprise with what I'm doing just in life. But yeah, never, I mean, sure, there's like bad moments that I remember, but it's more of like the overall encompassing feeling that she always gave me when she was around, and knowing that even if she forgot to do something for me, she always meant well, and there was never any cruelty, and that she was just doing her best, and that she was still a single parent, and it was just us two. So yeah, but lots of fun, happy memories, like some stupid ones, like what is the point of me remembering that? You know,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just so random, and you, like that's, I find that so fascinating what the brain decides to just latch onto, because we obviously make new memories every single day, but some of them just have a permanence in our minds. I remember we were going through a photo album, and we had the city that I was born in Australia, an above ground swimming pool because it was so hot there. And of course, to me, this pool is like the size of a house because I'm so tiny. And it's like, Mum's like, it's an above ground swimming pool that was like a couple of meters, you know, it was like not very big. I'm like, it was vast like the ocean. But when I was looking through this one particular photo, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this, Mum. You would put me at arm's length, sort of like let me go and try to get me to swim sort of like towards you. And of course I would go under, and then you would sort of like rescue me from near drowning and then hold me close. And I remember the sensation and the feeling of being held into you, and how safe and secure, and like that's where I wanted to be. And so when you would pull me out again, I would almost be panicking, and I would feel myself going underwater, and then you would swoop me up and hold me in again. And Mum goes, there is no way you can remember that because you were 6 months old. Yeah. And apparently like memories really don't start forming until around 4. And I'm not sure if it was the photo that kind of like unlocked or untapped something.
So, and apparently
sensation as well.
Apparently when a photo like brings back a memory, or you've heard a story about from your past that then you suddenly have a memory of, apparently that's your brain creating memories around those things.
But I just don't
later in life.
I just don't think my mum would be like, oh, I kind of nearly drowned you a lot so that you could try to learn to swim. Like,
right.
Like that's the part of the, and like when I was telling her that, she's like, oh, I wouldn't. No, I wasn't. No. And I was like, I remember going underwater and being like, that's it. Bye. See you later. And then the feeling of getting like rescued every time. So like I thought about that as well, but we have like my mum and I kind of have contradicting stories on the matter.
Huh. Yeah,
right?
Well, just so you know, to kind of defend your mom a little bit, they actually say in baby swim classes that you should start submerging children underwater prior to 6 months, because they'll automatically hold their breath from being in liquid in the womb.
Oh.
They'll start to forget that after a while, but if you get them in swim classes while they still have that like innate sensibility to do that, they will always hold their breath underwater.
Have you seen all those videos of like baby training? They'll throw the baby in the pool, and because they're holding their breath, they will come to the top, and their face, they'll kind of like learn to roll over, and the teachers, they're clicking above them to get their attention so that they can stay afloat, and then they get their little certificates from that. I've seen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like the baby survival swim, which is kind of the training we were hoping to have for Logan.
Yeah.
It did not work as well as in that video, let me tell you. The
Actually,
the
cool as
babies
well,
they must
yeah.
get for those videos must be like the 1 in 100 that
I
are
saw one do a lap.
miraculous at
She
it.
didn't even look like she was a year old, and I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, overachievers. Settle
Yeah,
down.
they must get like the 1 in 100 baby that just responds really well to it, because Logan, since he was about 6 months old, has been training to hold his breath underwater, and it's all that survival. So they teach them, you know, when you're underwater, then you float on your back and you cry until someone can get you, or when you're a little bit older and have the muscle memory, you go underwater, and they teach them to look underwater and see where the side is and swim underwater, kick till they can get to the side, and then hold on to the side. And then they walk on the side. They call them wall walks till they can get to the steps to get themselves out. And it's like circuit training. Like they're like half-hour class, even with little babies, is just doing that over and over and over and over to try to get that muscle memory. That being said, Logan went from 6 months until like when quarantine hit in March, and he still, if he fell in the pool, he would not be able to get himself out. Still, he can do cool things. Oh, it's terrifying. We have a fence around our pool in our backyard so that he can't even get into that part of the yard. But kids have gotten over him, like, you know, so there's a lot of stuff that's just really scary about that, which is why we had him in swim class so long. If we didn't have a pool in our backyard, we probably wouldn't have worried about it unless it was something he was actually into. But I mean, for his age, he's 3.5, and he can go underwater. He can swim underwater by himself. He'll open his eyes. He'll, you know, hold his breath. If he gets to a wall, he can wall walk like a champ, like laps around the whole pool, no problem. And he's not scared of the water at all. So like he'll play on the steps, he'll kind of jump in. What I'm finding is for his age, that's pretty rare. But it's because he's been in swim classes as long as he has, I think. Now, there are certainly some kids in his swim class that are like, I guess this is the point when you start to see like the kids where their motor skills are their forte, you know? I don't know that that's the case for my son, but he takes after his mama, so I'm sorry. But he
kids, start learning tech real quick. You're gonna be a coder. All right, great.
we always call him the little detective, because there's like Lasercorn's son, Tyler, for example, is a real like brave kid. Like he just wants to try everything and has no hesitation about rushing in, and then if he falls or he can't do it, and well, he figured it out. Whereas Logan, my son, will like analyze the whole room first. Like he wants to know what's going on. He wants to know exactly what he's going to do before he's going to do it. And then the first time he does it, it's like really timid to see if he can do it. And it's just differences in kids. Like Logan learned to walk really late. But when he learned to walk, he could walk and like stop and stand and balance and walk and stop and turn around. Whereas Lasercorn was like, oh, Tyler walked really early. But once he started walking, he couldn't stop. So he would just go till he like hit a wall or someone caught him. Wow. And it's like the difference in the kids, you know, mentality. Like Logan, and even Logan's pediatrician said it, because we were a little worried that he was walking late. I walked super late, by the way. So again, I'm always like, sorry, Logan, you take after mom. But the pediatrician said, you know, he just wants to be sure he can before he tries.
I like that.
Yeah, she was like, I'm not worried about his muscles. His muscle development's there. Like, we don't need to test to see if his muscles aren't forming right or anything like that. She's like
the measure twice, cut once kind of guy, you know?
Yeah, he just wants to be real sure he knows everything that's going on before he's funny to watch in playground situations with other kids, because like we go to an indoor play park near here that has a little trampoline. He will not go on that trampoline if there are any other kids on that trampoline.
Because it's a threat. Because
he doesn't know what's going to happen. If they jump near him, they could knock him over. Like he doesn't know what's going to happen. He has zero interest. But if he's all the way across the play thing, like in the ball pit, and sees that the trampoline's empty, he makes a beeline for that trampoline, and he'll go and he'll jump and he'll have a good time. And the second another kid comes on there, he's done.
Wow. What do you think he'll be like if I mean, I don't want to pry because I am to understand that questions about this to a mother is infuriating, but if he were to be a sibling, what do you think he'll be like? Because I have 2 nephews now, both under 2, and they are night and day. They are so different. Arthur is a chonk monster. He a big boy. He eats 2 freaking breakfasts, so he's like the anti-Hobbit in the sense that he has that diet, but he don't have that size. He's big. but he loves trucks. He's really vocal. His favorite word is no. And then my second nephew, Charlie, contradicting like size. So he's a lot smaller. He was redhead and now he's blonde, whereas Arthur's got dark hair.
Yeah.
So they're opposite size, they're opposite looks, and all he does is just stare and smile. Doesn't really want to chat. He just kind of like bops around and just smiles, and he's just so sweet, like in that particular way. And they're the most different kids. Like they are so opposite, and I find that so fascinating. And I spoke to Mum about that, and she goes, honestly, you know, my older brother Jack, she's like, he was very super, super quiet and astute in that way as well. Darcy was a monster, my middle brother. What a terror. Like, she goes, adults were scared of him. Like, no one would look after him. He broke his leg on a beach ball at the beach. Like, he could hurt himself doing anything, even if it was like a safe environment. Like, he was trouble. And he would go out of his way to try to hurt me. He would go out of his way to just like, what does running into traffic look like? Let's try it. You know, Mum was just like, I really hope that you have a child that is even a tenth of what you were to understand the hell you put me through. And then seeing Charlie, where it's just like, he's a tub of ice cream to me. Like, he's perfect.
Every kid is so different. I have no idea. That's what Nate and I were like, do we want to even gamble it again? Because that's what we look at it as, like this huge gamble on so many levels. Like, we feel very lucky to have gotten out of the first one relatively unscathed. You know, we're like, do we even want to go on that journey again? Probably not. The answer every time we discuss it now is probably, nope, I think we're good. But yeah, I mean, we're just, you know, enjoying the heck out of Logan. And it's funny because as timid as Logan is when it comes to physical things, he is a huge talker and always has been. He talked really early, mumbled a lot, said words really early, and to this day reenacts movies all the time. And now sometimes he mashups his movies, which is funny. Like today he was taking his sword sting and going looking for the spiders in the woods while simultaneously asking Chicken Little's friends from the Disney movie Chicken Little if they would like to join him.
He's just putting on a stage production, best of both worlds. Like,
he
good
is,
on him.
and sometimes he just wants to belt out some songs from Frozen and put on a whole performance. And it's funny now because he started doing the blocking. Like before he was just singing, and now he's like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Frozen 2.
Yeah.
I'm guessing there's lots of these.
There's lots of these, but in Frozen 2, Kristoff has a song, Lost in the Woods, where he starts like, it's like a sad boy song, and he starts like leaning up against a tree trunk, and we have like one pillar in the house that Logan always like sad lean up against for that portion of the song, and like, it's very funny. It's really great. I enjoy it immensely, and sometimes he'll make Nate do the backup vocals. But of course Nate and I are like, please don't want to be a performer, like as your job. Like if you want to do it for fun, by all means, but please pick a job that pays money, because Nate and I were both people that pursued performing careers forever. And you know, fortunately for me, I have something performance related that worked out, and fortunately for Nate, he actually did very well as a performer, but didn't want to live tour to tour to tour forever because that's a rough lifestyle, and decided to get out of that lifestyle and move into something else. But like, if that's really diehard what he wants to do, that is a tough life, you know? So we're like, please don't do that. You could eat ice cream like Maude and let it fall on your chin regularly and live a much better life.
Quite quickly, so I'm like just trying to.
I get it. It's hot.
I've only had a third of the entire tub. Like, horror. I feel a little sick, but I think I could power through. Honestly, I really do think that I'm capable of anything. So,
you are capable of anything. If you believe you can, Maude Garrett.
Yeah, yeah.
We support you.
Amy, do you want kids?
Yeah, someday. Yeah, I mean, we definitely want a big family. I think my family's really small, and like what I consider actual family, close knit, is gone pretty much. So yeah, but I mean, I guess with the idea of, even though they're not the same, having two little beings to care for, having Spielberg, my cat, and E.T., my kitten, to care for. It kind of helps us like, oh, okay, this is just the idea of caring for someone else that can't do stuff by themselves. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's difficult, and especially being a woman in 2020. I grew up thinking that by 25 I'd have everything together, and
I gave myself till 30, and
I was even smaller town. I was like, if I'm not married by 23, then I must be a hag.
23.
Small town Pennsylvania.
And that's the thing though. Like, it's crazy because thinking back, I since quarantine started, and now I talk to less people from Texas. But thinking of how they I don't know, went into their career, went into, well, heck, college, career, and now like the rest of their lives. I'm like, yeah, but like I knew early on that that's not what I was gonna do. I knew like when I was 13 that I was gonna move out of Texas someday, and it was gonna be like, bye, peace, I'm out of here. So just kind of giving myself that freedom of like, look, if there are no kids in the cards for me, biologically speaking, then I like, we'll figure it out. Like, you know, I think that I've always wanted to have a family, and always wanted it to be big, considering that I always wanted an older brother. I don't know about
They're not that great. I had 2 of them. You can have one.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, there was, I feel like there's an alternate reality where I had all of that. My mom, I'm a rainbow baby, so there was a lot of like opportunities. And yeah, I mean, my mom went through so much, and she really, really, really wanted to have me. So I feel like, I don't know, the idea that I could have a big family someday is something that's always been ingrained in there. It's just like, crap, everything's so expensive. The idea of like, once you have one, that's it, you know? And I don't want everything to be perfect, because nothing will be. But it's just the idea of like, I want to continue growing as much as I not physically, because I've stopped, but as much as I feel like I need to.
You can have some of that as well.
That's okay.
Hey, split that both ways, please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know. It's weird because I never thought I'd move to California. It was always New York, always. Never California.
Oh,
Do you
you
do
like
musical
Broadway
theater?
and that kind of stuff though, huh?
Well, I love big cities. I love being able to walk. I love the idea of me being able to hear like 10 different languages by the time you get to your destination. I love not having to rely on transportation, like, although subways, obviously. And just, I don't know. I've been obsessed with New York since I was like 10. So, yeah. But I'm just kind of like riding the wave, and I never thought that we'd be here. I never thought I don't know, have 2 black cats in 2020 and have them in a, you know, pandemic. Like, life is crazy, and I'm just trying to ride the wave without planning too much, but planning enough where I'm not going to screw myself over later.
Yeah, I mean, and that's actually a good distinction to make. I should say, when Nate and I talk about not having any more kids, we're talking about biologically. Because the hardest part of it, like, yes, it's hard to be a parent. Sure, the day-to-day of it is rough, but I had an exceptionally rough delivery. And I think that scarred both Nate and I enough to be like, cool, let's not chance that again. So maybe at some point adoption could be in our future. I wouldn't say no to that. I think Nate and I obviously would have to talk about it, and I think he has a little bit different outlook towards that than I do. But, you know, we're kind of both of the mindset of, we're taking precautions. If there was a whoopsie and we got pregnant again, then we would say, like, okay, here we go. We're riding the roller coaster again and hope for the best. But we're not actively trying.
I don't mean to alarm either of you two, but I'm not her real mom.
Dun, dun, dun. Yes, you are.
No.
What does the word mom mean to you, Maude? You are her real mom.
Well, I would have a lot of questions if I was. Although she's adopted yet, though, I'm just not sure how she'll take it.
She will love it.
You are from her parents that she's never seen again, and I'm like, I'm your mom now.
You are her mama.
I was choosing between her and her brother, and I couldn't choose both, so I just chose one and separated them forever. Gosh, when you really break it down, it's quite awful. But I give her a good life. She just had a scoop of ice cream. Are you kidding?
Wait, can dogs have dairy?
Hmm?
Are dogs allowed to have dairy?
Oh, they love milk. Yeah,
Oh,
dairy. Yep.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah. She'll kill me one day for food. Like she will. She loves food so much. She's obsessed with it. And yeah, like if I died, she'd be like, "Oh, that's awful." That's okay. I've got to put my melted ice cream back in the freezer. That was an amazing powered down, though. Is there anything that anyone else wants to get out before we get our weekend started?
I mean, we'll see you again in this set one more time before you move, at least, right?
Yep.
Yep.
The next time we do it, I will have just moved, so it will be...
Well, no, next time you'll be in this set still, but the time after that, you'll have just moved, right?
Exactly, yes.
I'm so excited for you.
Yay, Pinterest.
Right? You'll have to... Seriously, tell me your secrets.
Right?
Get on.
Help. I still need help. I need all the help I can get.
Pinterest. We'll all have a Pinterest board with different Pinterest.
Okay.
Yeah.
My gosh, I definitely feel like I'm in my 30s.
Love it. You know what? I never had a Pinterest in my life until I was trying to plan a wedding.
Oh yeah.
And then all my friends were like, "You need a Pinterest," and I was like, "No, I don't like that. I don't want that. I don't want it."
That's so funny. All of my friends were like, "You need a husband," and I was like, "I don't want it. I don't want it."
Yeah, that's what you know. It's funny. I was saying how like I thought coming from small town Pennsylvania, if I wasn't married by the time I was 23, I'd be a hag. Spoiler alert: didn't actually get married till I was 33. So, you know, just a decade difference between what I thought was going to happen to what happened.
I had a pact with a guy called Alex when we were 14, and we dated for 2 months or 3 months, and he broke up with me by telling me that he was grounded for 3 months. So he didn't actually break up with me, but he made a scenario that was easier for him to handle than actually breaking up with me. And I didn't realize, and I was like, "I'll wait 3 months." And then people were just like, "He's don't." And I was like, "Okay." But we made a pact that if we were both single by the time we were 30, we would marry each other. So naturally at 29 and a half, I was like, "What is this guy that I haven't spoken to in 14 years up to?" Yeah, he's married with like 6 kids. And I was like,
"Oh,
well, good for you, Alex." You broke up with me by saying you were grounded, and now you're the one married with 6 kids. I was like, come on.
That's a lot. That's a lot of family life every day. 6 kids.
Big.
Ooh.
It's probably only 3, but I was just like,
Seeing double.
because I was angry. Yeah, that's it. Anyway,
You know what? You probably shouldn't look up people you haven't spoken to in 14 years to proposition marriage anyway, just as a rule of thumb in life.
Well, I kind of also wouldn't mind people from that I haven't spoken to in 14 years looking me up, because even though I'm definitely not taken, I like to think that they're there with their husband of 14 years or wife of 14 years and their 9 kids, and they're like, "Oh man, all she has to worry about is her dog pooping once a day." And I'm like,
hey, yes, it is super enticing on the other side of the fence.
isn't that right?
All right, well, with that, this has been a lovely power down. Thank you guys, as always, for the chat. I adore you both. And this is like my girl time every week. This is so nice.
You love it.
I love it. All right, should we sign it off?